didn't even have a yard for the guys to practice football. I'm telling you, we were poor and didn't know it. Okay, we didn't have a yard at the school. We had a basement, and it wasn't really a closed-in basement. It was the piers for the building that held a brick building on, and it wasn't even 6 feet high, so if you went under there, you were ducking. So yeah, that's how bad it was, but it was okay. We didn't miss it. We might have had a little yard, maybe about the size of this room. You'd go in there or either go into one of the classrooms, and that was it. When you are poor and don't know it, you don't know what you're missing. And we weren't angry about it. Yeah, I did get to go to a prom, and in fact, I probably went to more than one. And the proms were held at Xavier. I managed to play hooky. I never played hooky for the whole day. They had a club that had Louis Prima in the middle of the day. So a girlfriend and I said, let's go see Louis Prima. So we'd sneak out the back gate, and which was really stupid. About 2 blocks from there, my mother worked at a tailor shop. So we had to pass the side of the tailor shop where she worked, but she never caught me. And we'd go and see Louis Prima. Then I'll never forget, we had the picture of Dorian Gray. That was a movie that was very popular. So about 5 of us decided we were going to leave. And I don't know how we managed not to be in class, but anyhow, we went to the movie to see Dorian Gray. And just before we got to the scary part, one of the teachers came in and said, "Guichat, Sabotage," he named all of us. He caught us. We all had to come down and miss the good part of the movie. You know? I knew y'all wouldn't have to go back, so we all had to go back to school, but we never really got punished for it. Because he knew we were going to go back to school, you know, just let us see the movie. You know? But it was interesting, and it was funny. I managed to graduate, and I did manage to go to college. So.
Where did you go to college?
And my grade, Dillon. My grades were good.
My early life, you know, till I graduated from high school, I was in New Orleans for what is that, 16 years, 15, 16 years. And then I left and went in the Navy and went all over the world. I was in the Korean War. I was in the Navy from August 1952, which was a month after my mother died. And my dad had signed for me to go.
That's 16.
Well, I had graduated that June.
So that's all that mattered?
That's all that mattered to me was get away. I went to high school in the fall of '52. And during that time, they had desegregation, and the schools were overcrowded. We didn't have enough schools. So I went to school on what they call a platoon system. I went to school from 7 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we were free. Well, it was fun because when we did school, we could ditch school and, you know, go to one class and go to the movies afterwards. 10 o'clock, and several times I ran into my professor, Dr. Perry, on Canal Street going into the Lewis State Theater.
I went to URSULINE and Dominican and University of New Orleans. Woke up in the morning, always late, trying to get to sleep. Let me sleep a little more. Can I sleep a little more? School, Catholic girls' school. I don't know. I don't think that's changed a whole lot. I was never really into school that much. I'd leave school and I'd usually go by the fruit stand on Walmsley and Carrollton, and I knew the guy that sold fruit there, Freddie. We called him Fruit Stand Freddie. Go visit Freddie. Sometimes, before high school, when I was at URSULINE, we would go over to Tulane's campus and walk around and try to pretend we were older and then kind of blend in, except that we were in school uniforms. and go hang out at Tulane. Sometimes take the streetcar. Sometimes I would take the bus or the streetcar downtown to Maison Blanche, and that would sort of be base camp for me. And then
But we could go to the movie for 10 cents. Claiborne Theater, the Circle Theater. No, not the Circle Food Store. That's the St. Bernard Market. The Circle Food Store, the Circle Theater was on St. Bernard and Galvez. Right now they got a rallies there. I passed it yesterday and I said, oh my God, there's a rallies. There's the most Circle Theater.
Wow, I did not know there was a theater there. Because we've
Yeah.
been living in that area our whole lives.
When I moved to the 7th Ward, we'd go to the movies on Fridays and Saturdays. And if you took a girl to the movie, you had to sneak in because all the guys were sitting on the neutral ground on St. Bernard, and they'd see you pass and they'd follow you to the movie and sit behind you and harass you, lean on you, try to kiss your girl or your date, whatever it was. So nobody really wanted to take a girl to the movies. If you did, you had to sneak, go all the way up to Esplanade and come back down Galvez Street and run in the circle. But there was always somebody like your Uncle Bobby or Eggplant or somebody watching. And, well, they lived right there in the jungle, so they could see what was going on, big air bear, and so they would see you pass with a girl, and oh boy, that was it. Kansas City, Big Bang, Lloyd Jordan, and Duke Ellington. And occasionally we'd run across a Rude Brown. Well, all the latest records were like Platters, 78s. Then they went down to 45s, which made it easier to bring the records. What makes your big head so hard?
Later in high school, we had little girls groups, and again, I'm telling you, we were poor. So you'd go to your girlfriend's house and we had tuna fish sandwiches. That was about the best that we could do. Everybody had tuna fish on crackers. Or you had Vienna sausage or something, you know. Then when we got older, the best thing we could do was sangria, was a punch with some wine in it, and that was terrible. So that was not my choice of drinks. Okay, so what would you have called it? We jitterbug. Now, that was great because of the community. We were all close to the church. The church would have dances. Very seldom the school had dances unless you were getting ready to graduate or at the end of the year or something. So we'd have church picnics at Gaudet High School, which we thought we were going out of the country, and that was probably about 10 minutes away. But we didn't have cars or anything, so everybody got on a bus or I got in a truck. And we went out to Gaudet School out Old Gentilly Road, and it didn't go all the way to Reed. No, it didn't go anywhere. It didn't go any further than what is now called Indian Village.
sometimes I would take the bus or the streetcar downtown to Maison Blanche, and that would sort of be base camp for me. And then I would venture out and around the French Quarter, which was really different when I was growing up in terms of being a lot seedier than it is now, and a lot less maintained, I guess. I remember, I never really ran around with people my age. I was always around older people. My siblings are considerably older than me, like 11 and a half and 14 and a half years older than me. So I was sort of like, it was like being an only child and being having siblings. It was kind of the best of both worlds. But I was often out and about on my own. Sometimes with friends we'd be at the lakefront. That's really different now from then, because they block Lakeshore Drive off all the time. And like after a certain time of night, you can't even go out there. But yeah, you had Woolworths next door, which was like my favorite place to go to get a grilled cheese sandwich. And then the French Quarter, you could just run around. I had a friend who lived in the French Quarter, like one of my best friends from URSULINE, and we would go down there and take our guitars and sit in Jackson Square and play with street musicians who were just hanging out. When I was about 6, I taught myself. I never liked to go to church. I would never go to church. And one Sunday morning, I was like, Mom, you need to take me to church. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I need to go to church. She was like, why? You never go to church. I said, well, I'm playing in the guitar mass. And she's like, you play guitar? She didn't even know. Because my sister had a guitar, and she had a Mel Bay teach yourself guitar book. So I taught myself guitar and started playing, and I've never stopped.
The last ZOOT suit I had was kind of a burgundy brown. Yeah, they all had with the big fat lapels and watch chains. You didn't have a watch on or something. And you had the tight 4-inch bottoms and big blouse up at the top on your pants. The girls wore mostly skirts.
They wear hoop skirts?
Yeah, they had poodle skirts and stuff like that. You know, when you're dancing, the skirt has to go out.
No, it was probably some organdy dress with a piqué coat to it. Now, as a waffled material, cotton. Or as I got older, I was into drapes. You know, yeah, I was a very sophisticated dresser, and I wore a lot of hats.
Oh, and then in the disco days, it was the candy slide-in shoes and the danskin one-piece, leotards with a wrap skirt. That was in the days of Fat City when that was the destination to go to dance, and it was the disco thing. There was this guy that he was so cute. All the girls wanted to dance with him. All the girls just wanted this guy, and I didn't really know him well. I knew who he was. I was at a place in Fat City, and this guy decides on that night to take my hand and pull me out onto the dance floor to dance with him. And I was like, I would say his name, but he pulled me out on the dance floor, and he was the kind of person who could make anybody look really good dancing. So he's spinning me around, and I'm doing my thing, and everybody clears out for us to dance, and I'm like, wow, you know, and this guy's making me look really good, and he spins me, and my wrap skirt must have come untied, and my skirt flew off and flew across the dance floor, at which point, of course, then I was horribly humiliated. Because with the shirt on over the leotard, you probably couldn't tell, and the stockings on over it, you probably couldn't tell that, at least from the front, that it was a leotard underneath. You just saw something black. And that's all I could think about was, here I am with no skirt on now in this place. And I ran in the bathroom and hid with my skirt, trying to put it back on. And of course I had to hear people coming in going, did you see that girl? So I thought I would never leave that place.
And of course, we had these nice shirts that we used to buy up on Canal Street. I can remember working at cereals and spending, well, my paycheck was like $21, $5. $5 went to my grandmother, and $5 went for a shirt. You bought a shirt or socks or shoes. Well, you can get a pair of shoes for $5. In fact, my graduation shoes cost $5.
Yeah, well, you shopped anywhere on Canal Street. But, you know, you had Krause, Holmes. Yeah, that was right, it was Holmes at the time. Maison, Blanche, got yours. I can't think of the name of the shoe store where we bought all the shoes. I can't think of the name of it right now. But, yeah, we shopped on Canal Street.
Downtown, that's something that is so different. Canal Street was the shopping mecca. The stores were just incredible department stores. It wasn't these t-shirt shops and souvenir shops, and there were beautiful department stores. Maison Blanche being the most incredible of all of them. Well, 7 floors of merchandise and 1 floor of administrative offices. I mean, the store took up almost an entire city block, and it was 7 floors of everything you could want. Everything, and lots of it. And the first time I went to New York, I had heard all my life about Bloomingdale's, Macy's. I went to Bloomingdale's. I was like thinking Bloomingdale's was gonna like make Maison Blanche, make me feel like Maison Blanche was nothing. And I went to Bloomingdale's. I was like, this is it. It's like 3 floors. It was narrow. It might have been a few more than 3 floors, but it was it was a small space. They didn't have all the stuff Maison Blanche had. Maison Blanche had the whole 2nd floor, which was, like I said, almost like the size of a French Quarter block, 2/3 of it, women's clothes. All kinds of women's clothes, everything. 3rd floor was like china, silver, gifts, home furnishings, everything. I can't remember what was on every floor, but I can remember, like the furniture department, I would go as a kid and it was set up like rooms. And so you would just walk from room to room, so it was like being in a giant house that was like a maze. You could get lost in there. I used to wonder, like, would people go in there, you know, before the store closed and just like hide out? They had an annex store for stuff that I guess they couldn't sell, you know, like, so it was called cut rate bargain, and they had above that they made their own candy, like this huge facility to make every kind of candy that's stocked in the candy department, all made fresh in the store. There was nothing like that at all. So I just had the run of it because both of my parents worked there, and my godfather was the personnel director, so he was on the 8th floor. I think it was part of a corporation called City Stores, if I recall correctly, and they sold to the Gaccio family out of Baton Rouge, and they reduced the store to 3 floors, got rid of like a bunch of merchandise, and it just became sort of